gross earnings go to overhead. On a CPS case, I get $100 an hour. That means every case I take, I am not meeting the overhead of my office to take that case. I take a lot of these cases. Your attorneys, they may be intimidating, they may be angry, they may be rude, they may be wonderful. They are doing this because they believe in children and they're taking a financial hit to be able to represent these children, represent these parents, because they believe in what's going on. At the end of the day, we are on the same side. We want healthy families, we want healthy children. We will not agree on what that is. And it's an adversarial process we're not necessarily supposed to.
We agree most of the time.
We agree a lot. But when we don't agree, it's jury trial. and I'll come back on that later. But it's important to remember, I've had cases where the Casa has never talked to the parents on an 18-month-long case. And just didn't think it was necessary in the advocating of the child to figure out where the child came from and what the circumstances of the parents were. You know, we thought it was okay to just rely on the information from the department or something like that. I would ask that as Casas that you try to talk to everybody. Now, like I said, sometimes you get a fear factor or there are circumstances where people are unpredictable or there's an issue, in which case feel free to go with the attorneys and say, hey, I'd like to meet with your client, but I want to do it in your office and I want you there. You can ask for that. It's in our client's best interest, if we represent the parents, to try to win the Casa over to the parents. Because if I don't agree with Kelly, Kelly and I are going to trial and the judge is going to decide. So the more people in the room I can get on my side, the better chance I have of swaying the judge that my position is correct. The more people she sways on her side, then the better chance she has of getting the court to agree. So I am one who, most of the time, with rare exception, will give you permission to talk directly to my clients, will instruct my clients to be cooperative and civil and helpful. I try to be cooperative and civil and helpful. Doesn't always work.
Well, and you need to ask for permission from the attorneys to talk to their clients who are the parents. You also need to ask permission of the attorney who represents the child. Can you talk to their client? And you think you wouldn't have to because you're the volunteer advocate for the child. But that child has an attorney. And so I would encourage you, every one of you, to make sure that you ask, can I talk to, the child? Now, if you're a guardian ad litem, that's a whole different thing, so you don't have to ask. But in Palo, I would assume you don't have to ask. But here, as a volunteer advocate, you need to ask for permission. And most attorneys are going to say, yeah, of course, why are you asking? But you're going to have one or two that say, I want you to meet with the child in my office, and you can talk on here. And that's usually older kids that they're more concerned about. It's not usually the younger kids, it's the older kids.
Some of the local attorneys are not necessarily Casa friendly. Casa is still fairly new. I don't know how many years it's been around here.
2007.
It still seems fairly new for a lot of them, I'm telling you. And it's
what happened is you've had attorneys who have been here a lot longer than 2007, and they've dealt with Casas in other counties prior to 2007, and their experiences weren't what they're experiencing now. I do not have many attorneys that have a negative view of Casa any longer. I mean, they appreciate the work that you do. We all appreciate the work that you do. And Lisa's right. What I expect from Casa Volunteer is that you have talked to the parents, so you know what their issues are, and that you've also talked to the worker. If I look at a Casa report, the only people you talk to were the foster mom and the child, well, why didn't you talk to the department about what the issues were? Why didn't you talk to the parents about why aren't they visiting? So it will just seem odd if in your list of contacts you don't have a CPS worker and you don't have a parent. Now, I can't talk to you. Lisa may talk to you as a parent's attorney, but I typically don't talk to you. We talk usually right before trial, getting ready for trial. This is what we need. What's your view? And I've read the reports as well, so I know about that. If I need to call on a Casa to get testimony, final trial, what would you expect from the Casa Volunteer? A lot of times, if we don't call a Casa at a trial, you have every right to give a report to the court. We were short on time the other day, and so I made the Casa report an actual exhibit so that it would go with the case record. If it was ever appealed, your opinion in that report for a trial, because it said it was for a trial, was right there and it got offered as an exhibit. If you had something else to add, you're always welcome to stand up. There are some courts that are more willing to let that happen than others maybe, or you're more comfortable. Judge Buckner definitely looks out and he says, you know, Casa, what do you think? Judge Jenkins has a very good habit that he actually finds the name on the Casa report, if I don't have it on the court order, and ask you, Mr. So-and-so, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, do you have something else to add? So, if you were to give testimony, it means I have more time and I want the judge to hear what it is. And it may also mean that I want to ferret out what your opinion is. Let's say if CPS and Casa are not in agreement, you're probably hitting the stand. Because I want to know why we have
Might be hitting the stand anyway.
why do we not have a connection here? And you may have a whole different view. And hopefully we've hammered it out beforehand, but there's some cases where you're going to have a different view, and that's okay. You don't have to agree with CPS. You're independent from CPS. And I always want you to know that, although I rely on you, at least relies on you, in the same way that I do. That you're able to go out and talk to parents more often. They start talking to you and they tell you things. It may be her clients, and they need help in some way that they've been embarrassed to tell somebody. And they tell you, well, this might help. He says, hey, he's got a mental health issue that he's never had treated, but he never told anybody else. CPS never sent him for a psychological because they don't have psychologicals for every single case, but you recognize, hey, he says he's been bipolar since he was like 14 or 15 and nobody never told anyone. Well, let's get him the medications he needs so he's not using that. So they'll tell you things they won't tell us. They're going to let you in the house where they won't let us in.
Or where it wouldn't be appropriate for us to go.
Yeah, Lisa's giving you permission to go talk to them and they let you in the house. So hopefully they're able to show you that this house is clean and orderly now. This is the kids' bedroom. These are their clothes that I have ready for them to go. I'm excited that they're going to be here. I will admit I have sheets over 2 of my windows at home, but hopefully they don't have sheets up, blankets up over the windows. You don't want that blanket up over the window. You want them to have some kind of curtains or blinds or something. If they can't get that, can you help them get it? If they're just missing a few things, can you offer any suggestions on how they can get it? Or say, hey, instead of you taking them out to eat, every time you go, why don't you save that money, buy just a quick snack and use that money for blinds, and let's get that up. So you want to look at the house. I'm happy when you go in the house, and if it supports what I'm talking about, they still haven't cleaned the refrigerator after 8 months, and take a look in that refrigerator. Take a look in the pantry. Do they have food in the pantry when you go? The kids are coming this weekend for a visit. Did you look and see if they had any food? You might want to look. You might want to ask, what are you going to have for dinner? Have you planned out what you're going to have for dinner? Do you have a timeout board? Do you have a rewards board? Because you have kids who have behavioral issues. How are they ready to have this kid back in their home? You're the one that's there. Go and see them right before the visit. You want to know that. CPS may not know that. They may not be able to get out there at that point. One of the transporters is transporting them. And so you might want to talk to the transport person too for your reports. They're the ones who spend the most time with the kids. I don't know, there were workers who were complaining about all the transport they had to do. When I was a worker, I enjoyed transport because it was a confined space, kid can't get away, and they're going to talk to you for 45 minutes to an hour if you guide the discussion in certain ways that you want. They're going to talk to you. They're not going to sit there and not say anything. What?
Entrapment. Invisible.
Are you guys able to transport now? Are they able to transport now?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Proof of insurance.
yeah. So, talk to them. Well, how are you feeling? If you go back and look at some of the training, Judge Pressman, I don't know if y'all remember Judge Pressman used to be one of our district judges, he had a list of things that he wanted to know. How does this child feel about being in foster care? So ask them, do you like this home? Do you not like this home? Well, they've already been in 3 or 4. They probably have an opinion on this one. Let's see what it is. Hopefully they haven't been in that many. Hopefully that's not the norm anymore. Are they in extracurricular activities? Is this foster parent willing to take them to soccer? Do they want to be in the band, but they don't have enough money for a flute? Can we get them one? Nobody asked. So you got to think about that at the beginning of the year and, right before school starts if you have a case. Are they that age? There's about 12 things that he wanted to know. And you have to be ready for a hard question from kids when they ask, when can I go home? What are you going to tell them? Priscilla, what are you going to tell them?
It's depends on when the judge says if everything has been done, it needs to be done.
If you have a kid that's 10 or 11 or 12, do you talk to them about what their parents should have done?
Mom has been telling him what she's supposed to be doing.
And let's say mom hasn't done it. So if they ask you, you could say, well, do you know what your parents are supposed to do? And if they know, and they can spit them out, and then you say, well, do you know if they've done those things? Then the child answered their own question. They were using you as a sounding board. They just wanted to hear it. But you didn't have to say it. The child said it for themselves.
And that is a hard question to ask, and I ask everybody, and the reality is that for the majority of the time, as much as possible, we want to insulate them. They've been removed from their school, removed from their home, so I mean, how insulated are they? They're living what's going on. But it's important for them to know that everybody's working as hard as we can to get you back home. And that is usually a very safe fallback answer. I don't know exactly what's going to be, but I know everyone's working really hard. And then you just...
We used to have some of the final reports for trial that Casa's wrote, and they didn't have an opinion as to termination. If we get to a termination, and you don't have that in your report, if you think these children should be adopted by the relative they're living with, or potentially they should be adopted, but they just don't have the right family yet, if you don't have an opinion as to whether they should go home, and parents' rights not be terminated, or the parents' rights should be terminated so they could be adopted, you should anticipate that's going to come up when you make a stand. If you haven't already told me, you better think about it before I call you, because that's what I'm going to ask you. And I'm going to ask you, so you've been working on this case for 11 months? You've watched the parents not be able to do their services, and you don't have an opinion? What is your opinion? And I want you to tell the court. If your opinion changes from this report that you wrote to the 2 weeks later when we have court, you better tell somebody, you better amend that report, and we get amended reports sometimes. You find out something's wrong about your report. That's what I'm going to ask you. So when we talk about, we do use you. We use you to help support our kids, and at trial, I'm going to use you to help support my position. I'm going to help use you to undermine what the parents want. Now, sometimes, I don't know, I represent CPS. That's my client. When she says it's, you know, who do I represent? I represent the state of Texas. I represent Austin. I just happen to work in Parker County, and I help the Parker County workers here to achieve the goals that are set by the department in Austin. If we have a bad worker, bad supervisor, something's really bad happened on a case, and I can't fix it here, you know who I'm calling? I walk right up the chain, Austin. You know, fix this, there's something wrong, I want y'all to take care of it. We try to take care of it over in the regional, we're in Region 3, I don't know if y'all are aware of Region 3 for CPS. It goes to the east side of Dallas and it comes over here to the west side of just to Palo Pinto. I don't think we do the next county, we just do Palo Pinto. It goes up to Lake Denton, it goes down to Waxahachie, I think. That's our region. It's called Region 3 for CPS purposes. And I always represent them. I always represent CPS. I don't always have to agree with what they say. So if I have a problem with how they did something, they better really make sure that they've convinced me. And there are times when I guess I feel obligated in representing CPS to make them aware of all the possibilities that could occur at some hearing. And they better be prepared for the possibilities, because they're going to get grilled by this side. So hopefully I made them think it through. If I didn't agree with them, they better figure out how they're going to support that on the stand. Somebody's going to ask.
And she doesn't always agree with her client. And we attorneys don't always agree with our clients. We have a job to do, and we're required to do it to the utmost of our ability. And there's been more than one case that I have had where Kelly's thought the kids should come home, and her client disagreed, and we had to keep going. She does not have the ability to call up the department and make them do anything.
I work for them.
I work for them. I sometimes treat her that way, but as far as what I expect from Casa's, like at the beginning of the case, what I would request that you do
everybody knows about the lovely affidavit that gets filed in every removal case, and every sin a parent has ever committed is gonna be in that document that contains a whole lot of comments that other people have made that may or may not have been substantiated. I would request that you get the parent's side of